Hey, Alan here for Old English Outfitters. How many of you remember the Marlin Camp Carbine? The Marlin Camp Carbine was a blowback-operated 9mm that used Smith & Wesson pistol magazine. Had a wood stock, very conventional-looking rifle. Very popular rifle in its day. Had its own collection of issues, but they're still kind of sought after by collectors. Ruger, a while back, brought that same idea, the pistol caliber carbine, to fruition with their PC carbine. 9mm, with the ability to use Glock magazines. Polymer stock, which is very different than the Marlin carbine. The Marlin had a wood stock. Well, now we have the descendant to that Marlin Camp carbine, the Henry Homesteader. The Homesteader is very much like the Marlin as far as it has a good wood stock, and this is, of course, a Henry rifle. So everything on this rifle is sourced here in the United States. Nothing comes from overseas. Not screws, not small parts, not anything. Something that they very much, and rightfully so, pride themselves on. Our sample had a very nice walnut stock with some nice figure on it. The Henry Homesteader is a very interesting 9mm carbine. It's very well set up, very ergonomic in how it's built. Starting from the front, we actually have a threaded muzzle, so you can put your favorite suppressor up there or other type of muzzle device if you want something. Got a good sturdy blade front sight. Got a very nice windage and adjustable aperture rear sight mounted on the barrel. This is kind of reminds me a little bit of Ruger's carbine because theirs, of course, is a takedown where this is not, but they also put their sights up on the barrel. On the top of the receiver, it's drilled and tapped, so you can put a rail up here and put any kind of optic you want. Magnifying scope, red dot, whatever. It has a tang safety back here, so it doesn't matter if you're right or left-handed, very easy to use. In the rear position, it's on safe. In the forward position, slide it up, it's off safe. Good metal receiver, just a very nice rifle the way it's laid out. You got a recoil pad here, not that you need it. 9mm out of this thing is literally a pussycat to shoot. Loads of fun. Doesn't kick hardly at all. We've got sling swivel mounts fore and aft, so easy to put a sling on. The other thing that's kind of cool about this is it's a bolt stop. It's bolt lock. It's right here. It's kind of on both sides. So again, it doesn't matter if you're right or left-handed, or you could actually even reach through and get both. Something else that's very interesting about this is the charging handle. The charging handle is set up on the right side of the gun. Pulls right out. And then you can swap it over here and put it on the left side if you want. It does have a detent, so it doesn't just fall out, but it's very easy to pull out. That's something we noticed and that we suggest is probably a good thing to keep an eye on, because if you catch that on something at the right angle, you could pull it out of there. This thing is just loads of fun to shoot. Really soft shooting. If you've ever shot 9mm in a shoulder-fired weapon, be it a submachine gun or a carbine like this, very, very comfortable, very easy to shoot. Barrel on this is about 16 inches, so you're going to get, out of 9mm, when you put those longer barrels on, you get a pretty significant velocity boost. So you're getting a little bit of better performance out of the projectile, especially if it's an expanding projectile, out on the target, because you're getting more velocity out of it, out of carbine like this. Nice checkering on the forearm, nice checkering on the back here. Just a good-looking gun. Really good-looking rifle. Very different than an AR pattern or some of the other types of patrol caliber carbines or pistol caliber carbines. If you like walnut, you like a good, just conventional looking gun, this is a good choice. Now, what else have they done with this that's kind of cool? Well, the gun comes with 2 magazines. A 5-rounder and a 10-rounder. Now, these are proprietary to Henry, and the magazine well that's on the gun, these are going to lock into. The release tab is up front. If you look at the magazine, it's got the magazine catches right there. So you got to reach up there and pull it out. So the mags lock in very sturdily. You say to yourself, 5 rounds, really? Well, 5 rounds are pretty nice because it keeps the gun very streamlined. This fits pretty well flush. The only bottom of the magazine is the only thing that hangs out. But the other thing they did with this is they built this gun so that you can use other magazine profiles in it. This magazine well that's in this gun is set up for Glock pattern magazines. Now we, just for fun, put a 33 rounder in it. As you sometimes find when you put those long magazines in these types of magazine wells, you got a little bit of play in that magazine. You just do. We shot it, didn't have any trouble with it at all. But usually if you're going to do that, it's not a good idea to grab the magazine with your hand. Use the forearm for that purpose. You grab the magazine, put a little pressure on it one way or the other, you might induce a malfunction. Shorter magazines obviously are going to have much less rock because there's less of them sticking out the bottom. The magazine release on the Glock pattern one is right here, very easy to use, and I believe could possibly be reversed, but it's very easy to use right there. A little easier to use than the regular magazine well that comes with it that uses the Henry pattern magazines. But the other thing they've done is they've actually built this so you can swap magazine wells. And it sounds like they're looking to use other types of manufacturers' magazines, like maybe Smith & Wesson, maybe Sig Sauer, okay? Who knows? Maybe somebody else, maybe Beretta, who knows? But they're going to be able to do that just by swapping the magazine well. And it's pretty easy. You drive 3 pins out, take the back off, much the same way you would field strip it to clean it, which is very well laid out in the manual that comes with the gun. Not difficult to do at all. You need a punch to drive the pins out, but not difficult to do. So you switch the magazine well, you can use other types of magazines. So if you happen to have Smith & Wesson magazines laying around, well, you can switch the magazine well to a Smith & Wesson pattern and off to the races you go. Very smart idea on their part. Make it compatible with other magazines. I don't know if they're going to offer higher capacities in what they bring with the gun, but truthfully, for a rifle of this type, 5 or 10 is probably what you're going to use with it. It's not like you're going to put an enormous capacity magazine in this on a regular basis. You certainly could, but the gun looks better and is actually going to just, besides being appealing to the eye, just appealing in general with a magazine that doesn't stick way out the bottom of the gun. Henry's Homesteader, really interesting little gun, loads of fun to shoot. If you've never shot any kind of 9mm in a carbine, find one and do it. You'll be impressed. It's, of course, with 9mm, it's cheaper to shoot than some of the other stuff. And recoil on these things is nothing. The sights on this, by the way, were pretty well regulated from what we could see, just what shooting we did. And the aperture rear sight, good choice. Apertures are very easy to shoot. Once you learn that you're not looking at the aperture, you're looking through the aperture, looking at the front sight, which is where you want to be anyway. Note about the trigger. The trigger was not bad. It's got a little creep in it. If you start just pushing it really slowly, you'll notice there's a little bit of creep, a little bit of drag, but then it breaks okay. For quicker shooting on targets like we were doing out there, no big deal. You don't even notice it really. So, pretty cool little gun. The Henry Homesteader. This is going to be popular. Check with us for price and availability and all that sort of thing. But it's going to be a pretty slick little piece for 2023. All right. Well, that's what we have for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Alan for Old English Outfitters.